And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Hadrian's Wall, of which I've seen a tiny piece of in my life. But the concept of Hadrian Wall is really interesting. But be warned, this is what we call a roll and write game. Although this is not really a roll game, there's no dice in this game. But it's in that genre where you're going to have sheets and you're going to be filling in squares on these sheets and trying to complete different things to get points. This is certainly one of the most, if not most complex games in this genre. It's from a company I like a lot. I like Garfield Games. It's from a designer I like, Bobby Hill. And so I know Mike has already talked about it on our channel as a solitaire style game. I wanted to play it, so I played it with a bunch of people, and this is a little of how the game works. Each player is going to have two sheets that you're going to place side by side here that you're going to use per game, as well as this little board. Players are also going to get a deck of 12 cards, and you're going to be playing the game over 6 rounds, and in each round you're going to be using 2 of your cards. So players are going to also have a deck here. This is in between everybody, and this is called the Fate card deck. At the beginning of each round, players are going to be turning over the top card of this. And this stuff at the top here will be used for other things. You're only looking at the bottom, and these are the resources that each player is going to get. So I would take those people on the card. So the black, I have 2 soldiers, and I get 1 builder. And I'm going to get 2 servants, and I'm going to get 2 civilians, and I'm going to get 1 resource. This is what I get every round, or at least this round, and you can see that this is going to change from round to round. Players are then going to be drawing 2 cards from their deck. They're going to be picking one of these cards and taking the resources on it. Those are extra resources you're going to get. These other things will come into play over the course of a round. The other card, the one you don't choose, you're going to stick in your journey, which is up here, 1 per round, and it's just going to score you extra points at the end of the game. So this basically says at the end of the game, if my resource production is up to 9, I get 3 victory points. If it's at 3, I get 1 victory point. So these are extra ways to get victory points. Let's talk about victory points. There are 4 tracks on the bottom of the sheet here: renown, piety, valor, and discipline. And as you move down these tracks, you are going to get that many victory points at the end of the game for each of them. This is the main way to get victory points. So anytime anything gives you a renown, I'll cross off a square here, and at the end of the game, I simply add these up. I'll also add up my path cards, the ones I just mentioned, that give you bonus victory points. And there's little circles that you'll fill in here. Disdain, that's when the enemy breaks through your walls, and you're going to lose points equal to how many of those you get. The more you get, the worse negative points that you'll gather. And at the end, that's your score. So that's the goal. After everybody has their resources from the Fate card and the extra card that they played, and a few other things can give you resources, players are going to start playing all simultaneously. And the way that's going to work is you are going to start filling in boxes on this sheet. Now be warned, I'm not going to go over every single thing here. But essentially, whenever you want to fill in a box, there's a cost to do so. So for example, if I want to fill in the first box here under fort, that requires me to pay a soldier or a worker, a builder, the blue or the black person. I simply put one of those back in the supply, and I fill in the first square. Then I can fill in the second square by doing it again, etc., etc. Some things have a requirement, like if I want to fill in the wall here, it costs a brick, but I need to have built a level of fort to do so. So I pay the brick and color in that square. Now you'll notice in that square there is a yellow citizen. So when I fill that in, I get that. And that's kind of where this whole game is going to revolve around. As you fill in different squares, they'll give you more people that you can then turn around and spend on other spots. And then eventually you're trying to get things that will let you move up these tracks that will give you points at the end of the game. But even on these tracks, as you move up each of the tracks, you get more workers. But you will have a finite number of actions. You will eventually run out, and then once everyone's done, the turn's over and you start the next turn. Some things will let you fill in these circles here, which give you more resource production. You start the game by always getting 1 stone, but the more of these circles you filled in, you get more stones. And you can build a small hotel and a large hotel to get more citizens each round, or a small workshop or a large workshop. You can see these cost a certain number of bricks. Most of these buildings here, well, you'll need a requirement, so you can't build a large hotel till you build the small hotel. There are things that let you add troops to the walls. At the end of every turn, you're going to turn over a certain number of cards based on the difficulty of the game. Up here at the top, the difficulty here is 3, 4, and 5 for round 3, depending on the level. And you're going to be drawing cards from the Fate deck. And when you do this, you're going to be looking at the top arrows on these cards, and that's going to show you where the troops will be attacking from. And you're going to need to be able to block those troops by having filled in these spots in the walls. And you'll do that every time you fill in a square that shows that symbol, but you pick which wall you're going to fill in. And then there's the whole other sheet here. And the other sheet, you're going to be spending citizens to move along the tracks and get traders and performers and priests and apparators and patricians. And you need to do that because to fill in this stuff, you need to have a certain number. Like if I want to build the Ludus Gladiatorius, I need at least 3 performers. If I want to build small gardens, I need at least 4 priests. And so there's so many different things here. I'm not going to go over all of them. You can build gladiators that you can send out in combat, turning over fate cards to see if your gladiators survive. You can trade resources with other players. Each resource has a different number on it, and you're simply trying to get as many different resources as you possibly can. Down here, you're going to use Tetris shapes that are on your own card or on someone else's card to fill in this area down here, and you'll get points for that at the end of the game. Or no, I'm sorry, you will because you move up Valor. Sometimes you can get things that will let you block the barbarians or at least buy them off. And so all these tracks are interwoven in a way that I simply don't have time to explain in the video. But like I said, you're just going to be filling in stuff everywhere. You do this after 6 rounds. You add your scores. Whoever has the most points is the winner. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this is, I like Garfield games a lot, but this is one of those times where the box size is a little annoying. These big sheets here, they're only on one side. You have a huge pad of sheets, so you're probably not going to run out of them anytime soon. I tend to like to laminate my sheets so I can, reuse them more easily. I did laminate the sheets. You can't fit them in the box when they're laminated. Also, when everything is in the box, these have to be put in bags and flattened on the top. I like to use containers for pieces, especially in a game like this where you're grabbing and throwing them around, and they just won't fit in. This is a really tight-fitting box. That being said, I thought the rule book, there is a lot going on in this game. The rule book goes over all of it. I didn't have a lot of questions after going through the rule book. The art, I still don't know if I'm in love with this particular artist's style. It's growing on me a bit. And I thought the symbology and everything for the cards was not too difficult. I mean, this is an overwhelming sheet to look at for sure. But once you understand it and go through it, I didn't find it to be tremendously difficult. Also, there is the back of the rule book that shows you what the different symbols mean. It requires a good explainer, I think. This is one that if there's a video of how to play online, I might go look it up to see that. But for the most part, I'm happy with the components. I just wish the box was slightly larger. First of all, I would not begrudge you if you looked at what I just explained and said, I don't really get it. Because I don't really get it. There's a lot going on in this game. And there's 2 big sheets. If it was just one of those sheets, it's already bigger than every other roll and write game out there. There's 2. There's a lot of things going on in this game. So it takes a bit to teach everything, but I mean, you can get it. It's not overly complex in the learning part of it. I'll come back to that later. There is some complexity for sure. And I mentioned earlier in this video that Mike did a solitaire review of the game, and I said I'll do a review of the game with people, to give some balance. But this is, we often in the board gaming hobby, we call games multiplayer solitaire because everyone's playing their own game and you're not really interacting. And there's a lot of truth to that in many ways. You're building your own tableau, doing your own things, and you interact with worker placement or what have you. This game is the most solitaire of solitaire games I've ever played. In fact, the stuff that's interactive, where I'm picking a trading good you put out on a card, is so forced in my opinion. They're like, there's some interaction. Yeah, there's not. When I play this game, the entire time, I don't know or care what you're doing. The person who wins, I'm like, okay, I guess you played better than me. I mean, the only difference is we all start with the same resources. We're playing at different cards. Yes, I can take a trading good or a Tetris shape off your card, but that's about it. And I'm not even watching you play because we're all playing simultaneously. This is literally a solitaire game that multiple people are playing at the same time. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but I don't think my enjoyment of the game would be increased or diminished if other players disappeared from the table. Then, so there's no talking or laughing because everyone's just sitting there going, move this, move this, move this. You're doing this for a while and you're done. You're like, okay, anyone else done? Okay, you're done. We're all done. Next round. That's really how the game works. Now, I'm not saying that makes the game a bad game, but you do need to realize if you like interacting with other human beings, Hadrian Wall is probably not for you. Now, this game, like I said, is a bit overwhelming when you look at it. There is hundreds of squares to fill in. There are dozens of different paths to go down. I wouldn't know which paths are the best. I don't even know how to play the game well. I think you could really put some really deep thought and analysis paralysis into, all right, I want to spend this yellow there, mark this track twice, then I get a purple from there, which I'll use over here to mark the track, which gives me another yellow, go up here, and the blue, and you could bounce everything around. But I had a hard time doing that, to think that far ahead. I would sit there and work backwards sometimes. I would sit there and say, I want to build the temple. Oh, I need 2 purple workers to do that. Oh, I only have 1. If I build on that track, it gets a purple worker. I need a yellow for that. I don't have a yellow. There's a black. Oh, if I put a black there, get a yellow, purple, boom. Ha ha, I did this. That's how I did things. I would just be like filling in boxes, and ooh, it gives me this. Ooh, now I can go here. Ooh, I filled in that box. Ooh, now I go over here. I filled in this track. And here's the thing. That was really fun. I enjoy this game, but I don't know what I'm doing. And it's such a weird thing because normally that would drive me crazy. I don't care what other people's scores are. I care what my score is. When I play this game, I'm playing against Tom Vasel's last score. That's really what it is. And so I'm going into looking at these, pulling the people around. I'm having a fantastic time. I can't do everything. So each time I play this, I'll say, in this game, I'm going to build the gardens. In this one, I'm going to work on temples. In this one, I'm going to build the wall up and have an invincible thing that the enemy can't get through. Whatever it might be. And I just work on that. And other things will happen. You can't fill in every square. In the book, the solitaire scores tell you, what you're doing. Solitaire isn't much different than multiplayer, and that's what I do. I compare my score that I got to those. So that seems kind of a weird thing, and normally I wouldn't like such a thing, but there's something about these little instant hits of gratification. I do this, I got a yellow worker. I do this, ooh, I got a blue one. I do this, I got a black soldier. I do this, oh ho ho ho. You get that so much on your turn, and your turn seems long. Like I start with 6 workers, but I actually filled in 13 boxes. That's pretty cool. And so I enjoy that facet. I like that, going back and forth and doing this and that. But I still don't know the best way to win. I don't know if I'm doing something. I just pick a few goals, work towards those goals, and have fun playing. You may not like that aspect. You may be wanting to get deeper into strategy, and I think you can. I suspect if I played this game with some people, I would finish, and they would still have 5 minutes left on their turn. So that could be problematic. But then again, maybe this game is best for me to play solitaire after all. This is a deep game. that is much deeper than it appears. No, that's not true. It appears very deep. It really does. But once you know how to play it, you're like, okay, I got it. But you're just plumbing the depths at that point. There's so much more. So I like it. It's a lot of fun to play. I'm terrible at it, I'm sure. I'm probably terrible at the strategies. But those instant hits of gratification keep me going through the game. And they're enjoyable. The whole time I'm having fun, like ching, 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 ching. I'm getting all these little yay, 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 yay moments that at the end I sit there and go, highly entertaining. And also when you complete a whole row or do something, it feels that's a bigger hit of satisfaction. So if you're looking for that, if you're looking for one of these games that offers more, this genre has a lot of people, the roll and writes are usually quick. We call them filler games, games you play in between other games. That is not this game. This is a main course. But it's a main course I really enjoyed. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time. Dice Tower Judgment approved.